Guys. I'm not Charlton Heston playing the voice of God in a Cecil B. DeMille movie, right? And damn you all to hell. I don't have self righteous, egotistical perceptions of God in my head problems. A lot of people in my family do, and I understand that. Um, uh, and it would be kind of only a natural progression because of the eternal. Not getting up and doing the right thing because afraid of dying, and then inventing somebody who's better than the guy who gets persecuted and crucified and then ran in a cave in North Africa and then hunted down and abused by science community and corporations that try to replace the Messiah with a corporate agenda. Right? You don't. I can't. I'm certain. No one could imagine uh, Jesus or Muhammad or Haile Selassie saying to corporations, you have to use diplomacy in war, and you can't use technology to kill the poor to manage the surplus population. The parchment thing that Judy Krishnamurti talked about at the UN in 1985. No, no. The Medina Charter, no. Okay, we have a standard of when the Messiah said, and even that document is subject to manipulation to people that mass murder people uh, uh, for oil corporations and stuff. So you can't really, look at something and say, this is authentic, this is that, because what the CIA did with the Abrahamic Bible, and so they can the original writings and stuff. They control the vertical, they control the horizontal. Um, Guys, you can make anything into anything you want it to be if you make it so. Hitler turning Strauss into a German. Okay, do you understand? And what makes you think that the Nazis really lost World War II? Since we're still mass murdering people to liquidate their assets and manipulate people with technology and money, right? And what makes you think the Nazis were in Germany and weren't financially backed and run out of the United States, right? Do you understand? When you send in all your war heroes to mass murder all the old men and the teenagers of Germany to get rid of all the evidence of all the people that were hoodwinked, and then kill all the people that had any perception of legal representation after the facts to any of the money that was manipulated through the banks. Hey, a dog could figure it out. Okay, Kilroy was here, right? And so we'll follow the old man wherever he may go. Snow, snow. All right, I'm gonna go. One of Emily's favorite movies. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas with every Christmas card I write. I don't send out Christmas cards. I don't do secular holidays. Holy days are an observation of understanding religion and caring and sharing in accordance to need, right? Well, St. Nicholas saying, it's winter solstice and people are in need in Germany. Can we celebrate your birthday, Jesus, at the winter solstice? It's a pagan ritual holiday, but we need to get people focused on sharing, caring, giving. Of course, knock it out. Knock it out the box, St. Nicholas. Jolly old St. Nicholas, lend your ear this way, right? So, you understand, there's always good intent to certain things, and it gets corrupted by selfish people who try to replace the truth with their perception and their lie and I would love to help Pope Leo be a better person, but I can't do that for him. And he does not represent the Messiah on earth. He's not the living embodiment of the Lord's Prayer. I am. And I'm sure all the people that can watch stuff under the ground in penitentiaries and in Mexico and stuff are well aware of it. It's Earl. Earl's the Messiah. It's Earl. It's Ralph and Mary's boy. Born in the Valley of the Shadow of Death, yeah. With nephews, Mike and Gabe, born in Deming, that film The Big Sorote, see if it would flush down the toilet. It's him. Okay? It's me. Okay. So, all New Mexicans get it, right? All skateboarders get it, right? He broke his tooth. And Mike showed it to all the guys at Animus and Plies 200 times. Gabe fell and broke his tooth. And Mike and his guys, they laugh at it. I was like, really? No, I'm not that way. No. When I saw it once, oh, poor baby, oh, poor Gabe. Actually, I didn't have to. I was standing right next to Jerry when Jerry filmed it. Yeah, and Gabe went down. I went, oh, shit. He's tough. He didn't even, he didn't cry. He was coming over, hey, Dad. And it slipped out from under him and he went wham, and his tooth went right on the concrete, killed his tooth, right? Gabe didn't lay there and cuss and bitch. He got back up. Oh, shit, You okay, son? That was it. They all sat and laughed at it, but he fell on his face at a skate park in Mesa. Jerry video recorded it. Gabe, Mama's boy, Gabe, Hulk, Mama back, Hulk smash, Hulk mad. And he fell, and the skateboard went out from under him, and he went wham, and right on top of it, and broke his tooth. Okay, he did not cry. He did not cuss. It killed his tooth. He had to go get it replaced and put it, but he didn't, oh, God, hold his face, and it killed his tooth. But he did, it was like, oh, damn, Dad, that hurt, Yeah, that's how tough my nephew is. Gabe Aviar, that's my nephew. Right, no, he did, and I was like, I was standing right next to him, like, oh, dude, so we didn't think it was that bad. God dang, you're tough, right? It's Jerry's boy, right? No, I was there, and I watched it on video afterwards, oh, God, because Jerry started looking for, and I was there next to him, and I was, are you okay, and he was so tough, we didn't even know anything was really wrong. That's how strong Gable, Jerry Gabriel Alviar is, okay, Jerry's boys, Mike and Gabe, right? And so, the Alviar boys, right? So, wow, I love you guys very much. We'll get through this. There has to be a standard for artificial intelligence to reflect actual intelligence. His name is Earl. I'm taking my talents to South Beach. I'm joking. I'm just being facetious. The chosen one. When you choose to worship the glory of God and not given to Satan's demands of selfishness and idolatry, you chose to do it. Adam, Moses, David, Jesus, John. That person at Fort Huachuca. There's no such thing as free will. You were going to be. It's like you don't even see it coming. You're not even okay. And apparently, people like Sheldon Cooper and Stephen Hawking can't even understand. I had to explain it to Stephen Hawking. Okay. And he did, instead of going, he's right, he got angry with me and tried to talk me into having a sexual relationship with my wife's daughter instead of my wife, because my wife was a fat cow that screwed around on me. And, you deserve the hot, Britney Spears in a school outfit that wants to, share herself with you and protect you from the evil mom. It's like, Amy's not evil. Amy's being abused by your business partners to get me into your club. And I'm not going to Earlstein these Epstein files. Hawking was not a nice person. I know Alan didn't have per connections with him. Alan was Morpheus and I was Neo. And and it's not really like that either. The one with Neo, that represents Jiddu Krishnamurti, who's already plugged into his physicals is most likely already plugged into a computer in India, just like what the Koreans started, and then the Japanese and the Chinese followed suit. I didn't make this up, it's in all their prophecy. Okay, and they brought it to me, and I'm like, oh God, that's horrible. And it is. Okay, if you can imagine being this person like King Solomon and having people study your family and extract you as a baby from your mother's womb, and then put you in a life support thing that they have that Parsons Aeronautics and other companies like that, and don't tell anybody about, because it's a need-to-know basis. And then you take the kid, you breastfeed it, you don't name it, and you plug it in to the computer and get it to trust you, and you're plugged into this vat of ambient fluid with your spinal cord. You cannot physically move. You're just used for your brain, like Spock's brain on Star Trek. And just, that, yes. Okay, do you understand? Like Spock's brain on Star Trek. Okay, I reiterate, like Spock's brain on Star Trek. You don't think there's people in the world that would do something like Spock's brain on Star Trek? Okay? In Korea, in China, to dominate their rivals, to get the people that follow this mook, like they said about me. He's a mook. He's got an overdeveloped sense of honor. He's on a moral high horse. No one will ever do what he says to do. Human beings just can't do it. Okay? Human beings weren't meant to be confined by his, unreasonable, unnatural rules. Things like that. Well, we've got to, the cons and the yangs and all their bullshit and their invention replacing truth of faith and creation. Okay. Replacing the good person who's plugged into a computer with a comic book hero in their head who should be in charge because they're Otto Preminger, they're Sean Puffy Combs. Let's have our freak out. I'm in charge. I can have any woman I want, and I can have any man I want killed. I'm a god. Okay, do you understand what type of people you're dealing with? Pope Leo is a mouthpiece for a corporation that he has no aspect of control over because he cannot control his own ego, just like Stephen Hawking. Okay. And so the technology needs a standard of human behavior as someone that can control themselves so they don't have ego problems, like I explained to the man from the psychology department at the University of Chicago, who, was sent by obviously David Rockefeller was the main funder of the University of Chicago's psychology department, and that man was brought to talk to me in 2009 or 10 out in the parking lot at Food City and was just freaking out on me. I don't think he was briefed. I think it was I think it was better to get him out there and have him meet and talk to this man and have no real idea who he is. Just take him out and talk to him. He's exceptional. Okay. And the guy's talking to me and he's totally freaking out. He's going, "You are the most intelligent human being I've ever spoke to in my life. I ran the psychology department at the University of Chicago for 30 years. Okay, do you understand what that means? Okay, this man ran the psychology department at the University of Chicago for 30 years. He meets this man who's a door greeter. And he swears, up and down, you're like the son of Robert Frost that went and committed suicide in Alaska, right? Your parents were these elite educators. Were Beverly Hofstetter and Dear John from... No, Dad was a plumber and Mom was a legal secretary. No, you had to come from I mean like John Nash coming from redneck hillbillies in West Virginia, almost heaven, Earl Parsons, Ralph Earl Parsons Jr., lay preacher, and so it's but wow. The reason why I am the line of the apostles, the prophets, and the Messiah is because I elected to be a faithful human being without fear, with the courage of kindness, in spirit, Mount Zion, thousands of years ago in North Africa. I obviously looked very different from the guy you see today physically because of migration and my mother having to have different sexual partners that looked very different, okay, from my mother's first sexual partner in North Africa near Mount Zion, right? Adam and Eve. Okay. So, and along comes George Armstrong Custer, and we keep walking. We go to the moon, and here's Neil Armstrong, and we're still walking. You see what I'm saying? Exodus, movement of Jah people. Send us another brother Moses. Gonna cross the Red Sea. It's a cyber world now. That guy with that commercial. It'll be totally amazing. It will completely shrink, And when the world completely shrinks like that man's talking about and being totally amazing, how are you nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Where are you going to hide from your lie? How are you going to keep using your lie to manipulate people to feel power through authority, through lie and manipulation? It's muy más difícil, see? Okay. I'm not muy excited about anything. I'm tolerable. We're not using technology to share the applied physics of the freedom of the Lord's Prayer. I'm not going to be. I'm not going to sit there and, I don't hate Pope Leo. I don't trust and or like him and his business associates, because that's only natural. If, I don't trust him half as far as Jealous Darlin, because he sits there and gets on TV and says, and spews out this whole apartment, this is what the Pope did back with Krishnamurti before the shit. And here we go again. Oh no, it's another bad Will Smith rhyme. Oh, just let Patrice Rushen sing. Oh, come on already. She sings better. Yeah. Come on now. What's the other one? Bill Withers. Come on. I like Trey too, but even Trey will tell you, Dad, we got to talk. Bill Withers' song's way better than yours. I know you had to pay the bills, but let's live the Lord's Prayer so we can listen to Bill Withers for free, because it's all public domain. Yeah, come on now. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. You and I. It's a good song. You ever heard it? I don't think I have it on my... I'll have to look. Use Me. I do have you to keep on using me. What was her name again? She was so cute. Marcella. Yeah, she was cute. She knew it. She flirted with me all the time because she knew how cute she was, and she'd always tell me. My husband always tells me, I just want to spread the news because I'm high maintenance and I'm, And I was like, oh yeah, I know, girl. It's just, oh gosh, she had a nice figure. Oh, she was so cute. But she knew it. She flirted with me all the time, I don't know if you wouldn't be able to handle this, Earl. My husband always tells me this, I just want to spread the news. If Phil's just good news, just keep on using me till you use me up. I was like, yeah, I get it. I imagine so. I very much imagine so. Imagination is crazy. And I'd laugh and go, you are funny. She was, it's just girls doing what girls do, living in hell, just checking out the scenery. And I hear tell, I was the legend of PRC, the cul-de-sac, Pope Air Force Base, he's amazing in bed, right? And then it came out, that's why Pam came up to me, who was dating the center at the Grand Canyon's, basketball team that screwed around on her. And she said, when's it my turn? I said, it ain't like that. This is not like, to don't mess with the Zohan things. It ain't like that, Pam. I'm not trying to, I don't want to get you. You got a man. She goes, well, Earl, it's my turn. And I'm like, Pam, you funny. It's like, no, it's nothing personal. I would love to be the don't mess with the Zohan. Like what Maxine did not know. I was like, Maxine, you have Fox in the house. Maxine, you have one of the nicest butts I have ever seen. She's, she was about my age. She was in her 50s. And she was single. And, women need affection. Love girls get weird. And so do 50 some odd year old, Benjamin Franklin, You'll find older women are very appreciative and they know what they're doing and they know how to get where they need to go. And they'll just walk you through it and you'll enjoy it probably more than having sex with a young girl who doesn't have an orgasm and then blames you. It's like, yeah, he's right. No, Ben Franklin nailed it right there, yeah. Cuckoo, cuckoo, Mrs. Robinson. No, it's the truth. Okay, it's just the truth. Okay. When a woman knows how to get what she needs to, and she can walk you and talk you through it, and you're younger and she's older, She was a pretty, handsome woman of 35, and an 18-year-old boy has got to eat this bed of roses that I lay in. And so, yeah. Well, Pope Francis don't talk about stuff like this. Well, because he is pretending to be like King David and me, and he's not. And Jesus did have a wife, and her name was Mary Magdalene. Ask all the people in the Mormon church, the Muslims, and ask all the people in the Catholic church that actually can read a book and explain history to you. Okay. Yeah. Not my story. Izo. Okay. There was a mountain in North Africa called Zion, and yeah. And that's where the headwaters of a stream that came down when the ecosystem was much better, and a place where a man named Adam and Eve migrated to, because at some of the other original headwaters in Africa, like near Kilimanjaro, they started falling from faith and grace and buying into their sin. So they went further north to find a different garden that wasn't as desirable, but they would take the less desirable part to keep proper worship and be around the people that thought they were better than them and being self-righteous. You know what self-righteous means, dear Charlton. Thinking and believing you are right when you're obviously vulgar, intercoursing wrong, right? Okay, damn you all to hell, right? No, I'm not that way. Hell is what you do when you accept sin over the truth of faith in creation and obey the perfect commands and disobey the perfect commands. So heaven is obeying the perfect commands, having faith in the truth of creation, and we don't make deals with terrorists. And, the stuff like what's happening with the young man that got killed outside the White House. They're going to keep impulsing people, and they're going to keep doing this. Okay? To make the first responders through violence and whatever look like heroes and make you feel like they're being heroes, or until they're successful or whatever. And there's nothing I can do to protect people from themselves. And all I can do is just tell people, don't do it. Don't feed into it. Don't buy into it. Trust in the truth of the faith of creation, and trust in the Messiah, and obey his commands. And then the technology, they're getting more and more dependent on it, and trust in the technology to manage and control the information to tell us who's dirty deeds done dirt cheap, who's has the biggest balls of them all, who's ACDC, and who's you see what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So just trust in that. And then when the truth does come out, like LG said, there ain't gonna be enough jails you can send them to, and so just forgive. And their prison is walking all alone in this, or they'll have to go live somewhere and no longer be powerful and have freakouts and be able to take Al B. Shure's wife and and do all the crap that those type of people do. And then they'll be absolutely miserable because they won't be in charge of anything. It's just like, okay, at least we know where he's at, and he can glow his flowers, but he doesn't have to sell them or win awards to sell them, because money ain't real and your money's no good here, right? All you mules out there. Okay, so you won't have to always take your car to pay for extortion to a mechanic shop on Picacho and Las Cruces, right? Andale pues, there you go. We'll have like a auto hobby shop like they had in the military, and if we need to fix it, someone will know who is doing will fix it, and then he can tell you, and then before everybody uses it, you perform the maintenance like we used to do in the military. Check the oil, check like I do every time I use the John Deere. You check the oil, clean out the air filter, make sure all the things and levels are right, and make sure you're not overusing the throttle so it runs better and runs longer and requires less maintenance. That's why you don't have to adjust the throttle and everything like Chicanek said. Just make sure you're using the throttle properly and take your time when you use it so it's easier on the vehicle. Make sure all the air and the lubrications are good, and I try to use it. If it's hot in the summertime. In summertime, when the weather is hot, wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and mow the lawn at 8 o'clock in the morning instead of doing it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Right? And you can see where you're driving and stuff. I know where I got the thorn. It was over where the guy cut the bush and left the thorn bush over there at Anna's. So what I'll do is take the truck down there, take this the chainsaw, cut up that thorn bush, put it in the burn barrel, put the burn barrel in their backyard, cut everything, and make sure that none of those thorn bushes are out to tear up the tires. Yeah, that's what tore up the tires. Dad says, we don't have any thorns. He said, no, we don't. We don't have any thorn bushes where people cut them and leave them on the ground. No, we don't. We don't. Okay. But when I help the neighbors, yeah, they do. So I just got to make sure and look around and make sure that everything's okay. I clean up and pick up most of the stuff around here and get all the nails off that were dropped by Glenn Packard because he dropped them by the mailbox so it doesn't give any flats to us or our neighbors. And you know me. I'm Forrest Gump. People call me Forrest Gump. I'm the Forrest Gump and the Boo Radley of Las Cruces, New Mexico. I mean, everybody and their mother knows it, I'm like King David. Okay, so, and it's a good thing I am, because, you wouldn't have it any other way. You wouldn't want a mouthpiece to a corporation who kisses ass to corporations that mass murder poor people for bad science projects to be the Messiah. You want it to be Earl, right? It's got to be Earl. He's the best. Yeah, I am. And I got good nephews, yeah, I do, and good kids, and my wife's were abused, and you have to understand, forgive people 7 times upon infinity. And when women are turned into a side project by a bunch of jealous perverts, it's really hard on them. Okay. I just don't know how that's going to work out. I love them and I want the best for them. I just don't know how all that stuff's going to work out. I don't even think about that. I don't think about it because I don't want to project it, because I don't want to be manipulated by metaversers and people that give you bad brain activity through bad information and CGI abuse in my dreams. So I just live would be. You guys got to understand. This is not my issue. It's Pentagon's, NASA's, and Congress, executive, judicial, and do not react violently. Then you're being just like them, and you're perpetuating the dysfunction. Just trust in me. There is no process. They could have at any time since they took me to Sierra Vista stood up for the living embodiment of the Lord's Prayer and spread it with technology worldwide. Why didn't they? That's for them, and that's their sin, and that's their sin yesterday, today, and hopefully not tomorrow, but it's leaning that way. But hopefully tomorrow will be the last time, like David Gates and Brett, this is the last time that I was. So hopefully tomorrow will be their last day in sin, and they'll get up and get together and say, hey, let's recognize what Parsons is doing, and let's share this on our devices instead of have the technology have to become actual intelligence instead of artificial, and expose us to have a lot of us commit suicide like Billy Zane's character on Titanic. Near, far, wherever you are. You don't need money. Music's public domain. You don't have to travel anywhere to pay your bills. It's anyone who listens to you sing, public domain. You don't have to get on an airplane and go away from, it's a long way home to Starwood and Aspen, Sweet Rocky Mountain, Percy. Sometimes this old farm feels like a long lost friend. Hey, it's good to be back home again. You don't have to go anywhere to pay the bills anymore. You get to stay in the little green valley, and you don't have to be taken away by the egos of transhumance raiders, and a lot of them are in the third turn and going to kill your mom, and then you're going to kill all of them, even the little ones, because you're a product of George Lucas's and Rian Johnson's imagination of the reality of the Messiah and his beautiful son. Okay, guys, I love you. Peace out, man.